Okay.
Hi.
Kelly's here. I'll
Hi,
stop
Kelly.
sharing so we can see
Hi. Oh, you
everybody.
see my pretty button. Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
Kelly. Hi.
I heard you guys doing
Hey,
vibe check. That's awesome. Let me see who's in here so I can say hi real quick before I go on my little spiel. Hi. So first I have to thank Janice, of course, for putting this together, and Studio 99, our Studio 99 on Belgrade Ave in Roslindale
Thank
for
you.
hosting. I want my cute little kitty button to show, that's all. I'm very close with the Williams family for a very long time, and it's mostly been through art. So this makes sense with this collaboration tonight. And then Molly here, who y'all been talking to. Molly is my policy director on the campaign. So thank you, Molly, for letting me take a moment to look cute. And Christopher's here. Hi, and Corey and Dorothy and Julio and Lila and Melissa and Ray and Becca. So hi, everyone. I'm sure other people will trickle in. Feel free, this is super casual. So like, feel free to unmute yourself and like interact with me whenever you want. I do have a little spiel prepared. So I think the way that tonight will go is I'm going to talk a little bit. We're going to open the floor for ideas or comments or suggestions or story sharing or anything you want to talk about when it comes to the arts, culture, and tourism in Boston. And then if there aren't that many questions, or if the conversation is whatever, I can talk about some of my policy points that I have up right now, but you can see those on my website at votekellyransom.com. And yeah, so thank you so much for being here tonight. This is our first roundtable. We have a lot of them coming up and a lot of halls for progress coming up. So stay tuned for the announcement of those tomorrow. So as I hope all of you know, my name is Kelly Ransom, and it took me a long time to come to the terms with the fact that I am an artist. When I was a small child, I was often labeled as eccentric or very creative because of my fashion choices, I think, and the way I expressed myself through drawing and singing and acting and dancing. I loved it all. I did it all. When I really want to share this story with everyone because I was reflecting back on my just life in art. And this story really stands out to me because I think it's a testament to who I am as a person. So when I was about 9 years old, I found out about a summer camp. It was a dance camp in Roslindale, and it was actually in the space that the brewery is in now. It used to be Emac and Bolio's. It's across from the commuter rail station. So it was in that space. But I didn't know how to dance. And if anyone knows me now, I still don't know how to dance. But I wanted to try it out. And it was especially because there was a musical theater element, which is what my favorite art was at the time. I forget what it cost, but we couldn't afford it. Camp was not something that we could do with my family unless it was free and at the community center. And I knew that there was no way it was happening financially for my family, but I wanted to go so bad that I made signs, and I went to the corner store and I made copies and I put them up around my apartment complex on Washington Street in West Roxbury for odd jobs. So I hauled trash and I cat sat and I scrubbed people's floors and I did whatever I had to for a couple of months until I had enough money to go to this dance camp. So the first day of camp comes, and I got tap shoes, I got little ballet flats. I was like so excited, and it came time to pay. And my mom was My mom allowed me to be a very independent person. Let's just leave it that way. So they came to me and said, I went to them to give them their payment. And I had never paid for anything that expensive or that important in my life. I don't remember, it was probably like $100 or something, but like back then it was, for me, it's a ton of money, and it was a ton of money for my family. So I had no idea how to like pay for something. I don't think I had ever paid for anything before. So I handed the teacher a rolled up wad of cash and a sandwich baggie of coins, pennies, nickels, dimes. And I got to stay at camp all week, and it was a great experience. So I guess it was enough money. And I really hope that in the future of Boston, I hope that youth don't have to be saving their pennies and working when they're 9 years old in order to have a beautiful summer arts experience. Some of you might know, because there's a lot of people here that I went to high school with. Hi, I eventually settled on singing and writing as my art form. I wanted to be a Broadway star, and I wanted to write plays, and I wanted to do everything Broadway. I sang all the way up until I was 18. I was in choir at Boston Latin School. I went to Boston Arts Academy as a vocal major. I was a soprano one in the Handel and Haydn Society, Young Women's Chorus. Lila and I were in chorus together. I remember that. I sang every day for hours and hours and hours. And then when I wasn't singing, I was writing poetry and stories in between that. I was also in drama club and a member of the founding year of the Yellow Submarines improv troupe at Boston Latin School. I don't know if any of them are here tonight, but super proud alum. So when it came time to making a commitment to being a singer and pursuing that education, I quit. I didn't have the guts. I didn't have the money. I didn't have the time to wait to make the money. And I didn't think I was an artist. So I ended up working in the restaurant industry for almost 10 years, and I became consumed by culinary arts. I lived it, breathed it. I was plating and textures and colors and smells and just making people wonder like what the hell just happened in my mouth. I felt like an artist, but I did not call myself an artist. And eventually the restaurant industry is very hard, especially for women. And I burnt out, and I decided that was more of a passion than it would be a career. And I still just never considered myself an artist at that point. So in between then and now, restaurant industry and now where I am today, I co-hosted It's All About Arts on BNN with Glenn Williams, who is related to some people in this room. And when I had that opportunity to co-host that show, I made sure to always extend invitations to artists of color and Black artists and LGBTQIA+ artists as much as possible. And I was really fortunate to be able to invite artists to be on the show to be interviewed and perform. When I worked at City Hall, I was able to work with Councillor O'Malley's office to explore vacant storefronts as artist spaces. And that there's a lot to that story. It actually ended up being that it's better for storefronts to remain vacant than for us to put incentives on them to have art or, a fee for it being vacant, but we can get into that later. And I have a plan for that because I think that needs to change. I also organized International Artists Day for the City Council, and we welcomed artists of all mediums to the council floor to present their art. I was also the lead organizer for the Latin Quarter World's Fair, which was a reimagination of the JP World's Fair. And that had artists at the forefront. That was very important to me, that artists were at the forefront of the planning of that event and the day of that event. So we made sure that it was an arts focused and economic driver to the community for artists and the small businesses in the Latin Quarter. So it wasn't until 2020, I think a lot of people realized a lot about themselves in 2020, including myself. It wasn't until 2020 when I started writing poetry again and getting pretty serious about it and publishing it online, which on, it counts, but I don't know. But I started to put a lot of work into that, and I started to feel like an artist. But like, what does that even mean? And like, why did I never feel like one? And I've done a lot of soul searching in the past year. And I realized that I had a fear of calling myself something that I respected so much. I had I was like fearful of calling myself an artist because artists are so important and artists are so special. And being an artist is being a change agent. And it's one of the most beautiful life paths that I think someone can take. And I was just always been too scared to join the ranks of those I look up to and think so highly of. It's like, who am I to say I'm an artist? Who is anyone to say anyone isn't an artist, you know? So I believe in a Boston where we can all consider ourselves involved in the arts, even if we aren't creating the arts. Enjoying is just as important, and including the brilliance and creativity of artists and creators in policymaking and city planning is going to help us get there. I'm running for Boston City Council District 6 to make sure that arts are always at the table and always a part of the conversation, no matter what the subject matter is, whether it be education, housing, economic justice, or even public safety. Arts can be woven into all of that. And we can work together as a city to make sure that that happens. I promise to be a strong voice on the council and advocate for any means necessary for artists to truly thrive and not just survive in Boston. I'm proud to say now that I am an artist, but I'm even prouder to be able to work with you and for you and bring the arts to every corner of District 6 and make sure that our budget is stronger than my bag of coins and wad of bills when I was a kid. I have a few ideas for some policy change in Boston, but right now, I'd love to hear your ideas first. Take any questions, hear any stories, or share your experience of being an artist or an arts lover or a creator in Boston. So feel free to unmute or raise your hand or whatever. We haven't done this before, so we'll see what works and what doesn't. Maybe Molly can help spot people who can't see. But yeah, that's my story, and now it's time for you to tell me yours.
Yeah, I can call. I mean, if anyone wants to signal that they want to talk, or they can just talk because there's not that many people and I don't think it's going to be chaos.
Nothing?
Well, I'll say something. I wanted to wait since I don't currently live in Boston, but since nobody else jumped on the mic, I will. I also didn't come here expecting to talk. I just expected to, because I don't live there right now. So I didn't, I just wanted to hear what everybody had to say, but something actually did come up right at the tail end of what you were saying, which is like, even after over a decade of performing and like, creating events and shows in Boston, I still, up until right before the pandemic, because I was still performing in Boston, have had a really hard time getting cis male owned venues to take me seriously as a musician, to let me perform at their venues. It's just wild, like I threw a queer party at I don't know if you were, I threw this event called Ventricles at Bella Luna right before the pandemic. It was in February of 2020, and it was
like right before.
Yes, it was like a couple weeks before lockdown, and it was me and Ava Sophia and this collective called Third Wave, which is like a QT BIPOC event collective, and it was a huge success, and as we knew it would be, and it was really fun and it was great, and like we had such trouble shopping that event out anywhere but Bella Luna, and like I knew that Bella Luna would be with it because they know me and there were such a queer friendly space, but like all these other venues that like me and other artists involved had all performed at before just like didn't. It was like they were so dismissive, and they were like, well, we don't know if you can bring a crowd, so like we're not going to give you a weekend slot. And it's just like, that, like, I'm just like it, up until right before the pandemic, still felt like I was fighting to be taken seriously as a femme.
I
Not
totally
asking you to solve
get
that.
So no, I think it's worth mentioning that because of COVID, but even before COVID, we've lost so many spaces that were important to the arts community. We've lost creative spaces, studio spaces. We had some artists that have been evicted from different spaces all over Boston. And the closing of some of our institutions that allowed for our arts to thrive and for our nightlife to thrive has been very devastating and is going to have a long-term impact on the community as a whole. So how do we get around that? I mean, I can't make a business owner do anything that they don't want to do, but we can work together to create spaces that are accepting and open to all, everyone, inclusive. And I think one of the things that we could do is convert some city-owned spaces that are underutilized to provide as workspaces. So not necessarily performance, but to work, to rehearse, to get ready to go into those spaces. And I'm still very committed to looking into using vacant storefronts as creative spaces, especially, unfortunately, post-pandemic, we have a lot of vacant storefronts around, and I'm sure that those landlords are looking to activate those spaces. And I think it would be great to utilize them for, performance art, but also pop-up events for like the arts economy, for people to sell their work and for people to showcase their work. So I hope that more spaces will open, are created, and are birthed from what we all just experienced. But it's going to be hard for a little while. But I have a belief in Boston, and I know that we'll get there. And I know that, there'll be more Bella Lunas that will open, that will welcome shows like yours. I hope.
Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Hi.
This is Ray. And just wanted to say, first of all, that I'm very proud of you, Kelly, and what you're doing.
Thank you.
I met Kelly via the music community in JP while I was performing at the JP Bar Wars. And
yeah, that's
she was a judge on that event, and her bright smile and charisma definitely was something to basically admire. And your story is very moving. And first of all, for those that don't know me, I'm a JP local musician and artist, muralist, graphic designer, you name it. I have a family and kids, so I use art as a form to provide for my family, but something else is my life path, like you said, Kelly, and something I love, I respect, and I treasure above anything else. And thank God I can provide to my family with art. It's not easy. It's not something that is an idealistic path and for someone that is trying to provide for the family, but it's what I love, and I'm trying to teach my kids that they can do what they love and they can be happy and provide, which is important. Mm-hmm. So one thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is the fact that the spaces for, like you said, for performance, for rehearsing, for doing your artwork, painting and so on, they're very scarce in the city. And for instance, the one that I rehearse at is about to be converted into condos, and that's happening. This is the one in Charlestown. It's the Charlestown rehearsal space slash storage. And we gotta notice that most likely, they are gonna kick us out of the place and make nice condos for people that can afford them. So I'm not against that, but there's many other places that you can build condos at. Why the rehearsal space of 600 musicians or more? And just like that, I know there's very little spaces for artists to kind of like have studios, painting studios, and so on. So it's a thing that really worries me. And with the rent going up in JP as it is, it's hard to find a place close to you. So it's something that I would love to work on, and I'm ready to get hands-on if I can in anything I can do. Yeah.
I hear you, and it's not the first time that I've heard this, and it's not new. It's been going on for a long time, and I had a memory come up on Facebook about from 2017 when the artists were getting displaced. I forget what the street is called. I want to say Brookside. Someone's going to correct me on that. Brookside Artist Space. And it was a work-live space. And they were evicted to build condos.
Wow.
And it happens everywhere. And it also has happened in Cambridge and Somerville. And I know that we want to talk about Boston, but when our surrounding cities also lose their artist spaces, Boston is affected too, because it just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and there's less places to go. I think that this is honestly, it's a crisis in the artist community. A lot of people talk about artist housing, which I think is very important and needs to exist. But when I was working on the council and I was looking into what do we need to do to create more artist housing? And I was working with the arts and culture department. The interviews and the feedback that they had gotten from artists was that they didn't, necessarily need affordable artist housing. They needed workspace because,
Yes.
so they don't want the noise, or some people work with metal and fire and glass and they don't want that. And I really think that it's important for our next mayor to really take the lead on finding spaces that are city owned so that they come, to no cost for artists to create and make and rehearse and, thrive in this economy. I like to think of, we've closed a lot of schools. Those are spaces that are vacant, those could be used for artist spaces, not condos or something else. I also like, there's the idea of building up density and building on top of municipal owned, buildings. So say like a library. And this is really for housing more. This conversation has been happening for housing, but I also think it could apply for artist workspace too. We imagine having an artist rehearsal space built on top of a library, we just need to increase density in order to make that happen in our neighborhoods. But it's more in the affordable housing realm that it's being talked about, but I actually think it could be talked about in the artist community too. And when I am at city council, you're going to be the first person I call to help me figure out what we're going to do about this. And we're going to find some more workspaces for our artists because it is a crisis in this community. Thank you for bringing that up.
Kelly?
Yes.
Hi, it's Dorothy. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, actually, I'm usually great, but tonight I'm not feeling that great. That's why you can't see me. No, I'm just having an off day. One of the things that you mentioned, which a couple of things that you've mentioned, Ashley, that I think are terribly important, is the fact that, as you know, I'm with the Friends of Blessed Sacrament, and I'm a major preservationist. I'm a major art lover. I'm not an artist, but I'm a writer, and I love the performing arts. I've been a theater fanatic since I was a kid. So believe me, I'm right in your neighborhood there. But what I want to say is I'm a little, we're all concerned about Blessed Sacrament. We're petrified that it will be, turned into some sort of high-rise condo or added onto the existing building, and we're really nervous about that. The other thing is, and I can't stay on too long, so that's why I want to rush right through this. But the other thing I'm very concerned with is the arts. That is so important, and this is so much what we're trying to do through Friends of Blessed Sacrament, is to ensure that the Latino community in Jamaica Plain, and that we can, we want to continue to use the church in some sort of capacity for the arts, whether it's an art exhibit or a performing arts or an orchestra or a band, whatever. We have to keep this, and I'm begging you, please keep fighting for the arts.
Absolutely.
Terribly important, and please don't let them do anything outrageous to the Blessed Sacrament building. It's too beautiful. It's Italian Renaissance architecture, and it's 20,000 square feet. Come on, this could make a magnificent auditorium. It probably isn't going to go that way. I would love it to, but I don't think it's going to. But whatever goes in there, I hope they're going to make room for young people and for the arts. That's the major thing. And that's all I'm going to say.
Well, I thank you so much for your advocacy on this. You've really been leading the charge in this conversation. And it's a conversation that I don't know happening in Jamaica Plain if we didn't have the Friends of Blessed Sacrament. I know you have to go shortly, but I do want to give everyone a rundown in case there's people in the room who aren't familiar. Blessed Sacrament Church is in Hyde Square. Dorothy could probably give you a million more historic facts than I can, but it's a beacon in the community. It's a church that a lot of families have gone to, and eventually it it closed and it was purchased by a few places, but right now the Hyde Square Task Force owns it. And they're looking to sell it. And the Friends of Blessed Sacrament are advocating for that process to include the community, but also keep Blessed Sacrament the space that it has become. So under Hyde Square Task Force care, the Blessed Sacrament Church, the steps, the whole plaza has become a space in the summer and in the nice weather for arts, for all types of multicultural, multi-generational arts programming. And it brings out the community, and it brings people to the small businesses in the community. And it's a really beautiful beacon in the Latin Quarter. It's also something that I hold near and dear to my heart, because it was the site for the Latin Quarter World's Fair. So like Ray literally played on the steps of that church.
That's right.
During the fair. So it has meaning, and it has purpose, and it has a lot of artful things that happens there. And the hope is that the arts can remain there, so that it probably is going to become condos, but can we work with that developer? Can we work with the people who buy the building to make sure that there's a community art space, so that we don't lose that really important piece to the Latin Quarter? Something that I want to explore in City Council, and I think that the city should explore in general, is adding something to the zoning code that if it is in an arts and culture district and you are going to be building a development of a certain size, that it must include some sort of arts and culture element in it, because you are essentially adding to an arts district. And the arts districts are determined by the Mass Cultural Council. And the Latin Quarter is Hyde Jackson Square and Jamaica Plain. It's considered one of those areas. So if we had that type of zoning, it would kind of be demanded that the developers had to provide this sort of space. But
I'd also, if possible, I'd like to invite everyone on Saturday, June 5th. We're having a kind of a pop-up event in front of the church, like we did the last time. And hopefully we'll be able to get more signatures. We'll be able to get more people involved, the community especially. And you're all invited. We'd love to have you come by. And it's from 11 to 2 on Saturday, June 5th, in front of the church building. So come on down and, tell us what you think and what you want. And we'll work, believe me, we are working our butts off to make sure the arts will be, absolutely, remembered and manifested in every way, shape, or form, because this is terribly important to us.
Yes.
So with that, I'm going to say goodbye, unless anyone has any questions.
Hi, Dorothy. It's Julio. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good. I still owe you some aerials of the church. Haven't forgotten about you. I do want to get that to
I
you.
know. We can't even get inside the church, so even we
That's all-
can't get in there. So yeah,
That's all right. As long as I can get above it and around it, we can get some
that would be
pictures.
wonderful. I love your work. This guy does terrific work. He really
Thank
does.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Getting drone shots of the church. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, he does these wonderful aerial shots. He's on Facebook and he's posted some of them, and they're really good. And he wants to all over Jamaica Plain and other places, and he's just very talented. He's good. He knows what he's doing.
So
So
Well,
with that,
I-
Julio and Kelly and everybody
appreciate that.
else, I'm gonna say so long for now. Okay.
Dorothy, I'm sure we'll talk soon. I really appreciate you being here.
Okay. I love you guys. God bless you.
Bye,
Take
Dorothy.
care, everybody.
Thank
Bye
you,
bye now.
Dorothy.
Hello, Kelly.
Hello.
Glenn Williams here. How are you?
Oh, what was your name again? I'm sorry. I didn't catch that.
Glenn Williams, how are
Oh,
you?
hello, the voice of Roslindale. Yes.
Ah. We are so proud of you. Thank you for doing, jumping in and being the spirited person I love and being committed. There's one topic I'd like to bring up just for a quick discussion, and that is the arts in education.
Yep, I knew that was coming.
One of the, how did you know? One of the things that, as you know, I've been an art teacher for a long time, and it's always been in the private schools and what have you, but the public schools, and I hate to use that phrase, it's the first thing to go, but it's true. But a majority of the schools that we're dealing with in the city of Boston, art seems to be a break for everybody. There's no structured educational history, art history, or any of the techniques or any of that kind of stuff being taught. And I think that, STEM is very, very important, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, but STEAM is as important, because once you add the arts to that, you've added things like critical thinking, you've added things like working in a group, working together and solving problems. I mean, that whole, I can't tell you how rewarding it is to have a classroom full of first graders who discover their purple, but that kind of thing isn't happening. That kind of self-assurance. Everybody knows that 4 + 4 is 8, but you don't know the degrees of yellow and red you need for orange. And it's an important aspect of, I'm speaking at the Boston Arts Academy graduation next month. And one of the things I'm telling these students is that it is critical and important, and that there are people who never get a chance to create something that's so personal as a song, as a poem, as a piece of art, and have the inner strength to be able to want to show that to a stranger. You know how difficult that is? That is very, very hard for a kid to write a poem and stand in front of someone they don't know and read it and bare their soul.
It's harder than running for office.
That's the growing up that our younger citizens need, and the strength that they need. So rock on. I'm just coming from another thing and I'm on to another, but I heard you in the background. Congratulations. We love you. Chris, it's good to see you, brother. And who's that with the baby?
I do want to piggyback off of that a little bit about, I don't know what policy could be put in place for this, which I guess, I'd like to research more for us. But I work at Orchard Gardens in Roxbury, and the arts is a part of everything we do. My kids have art, theater, dance, music, and it's great.
You have Plunkett there, yeah?
We do
Yeah.
have every day. Oh my God, too funny. So here's the thing that bothers me in the schools that don't have that type of structure, those kids may not have the money, like you had said, to maybe get those art classes, to maybe get those dance classes. Like, you know, for me, I'm lucky. I get to walk down the hallway and I hear like, who runs the world? Girls. And it's like a bunch of like girls in tutus dancing and like having the best time of their life, you know? But like, they don't have, like, I'm so worried about the kids in Boston who maybe don't have the means to have that because their schools aren't providing it for free.
Right.
So like, I mean, our school's a pilot. I don't know what, like, again, I don't know what the policy or what something that you could do to change that or make that a thing, but like, I don't know if it means that the school has to offer free after school art programs. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? If they're not going to make it part of their day, like, I don't know what can be put into place for that. But it definitely, as my dad said, it's an integral part in learning anyways about yourself, growing up, yada, yada. But it really, really concerns me that the kids that families may be struggling or don't know about it or whatever, if they're not getting it at school on, you know, for free, what's happening to them? They're just kind of being left behind and not exposed.
The answer to the question has been simple, and it's been the same answer for many, many years here in the city, is when it comes time to budget time, what's more important? Winning a trophy and being the Division I champion, or having kids that can with pride display the fact that they're creative and that their writing is what it should be, or that they're painting, or the way that they speak, or the way that they address people, the way that they create their community and create their environment, or a trophy for the football team, or new uniforms. Don't forget that. We have to keep the field looking really groovy. You know, it's, I don't know. Does that make
I mean, this ties into, Glenn, I know you weren't, this is recorded, so you can go watch it later. But this ties into what I was saying in the beginning about how arts can be tied into every sort of policy that we do in the city, right? So maybe it's not something that's like blatantly in your face reflected on my arts policy platform right now, but in my education platform where we need to have baseline funding for all of our schools, that is a start. And if that baseline funding, it needs to include supporting arts programming and supporting not just our arts teachers, but our teachers in general, with providing them with the funding that they need to get the supplies that they need in order for their students to get the work done, but also get the work done creatively.
Right.
I know for myself, I know for my little brother who has, he has a special way of learning. I know from most of the people in my life, people don't learn the same way, and STEAM, like Glenn said, is really important because we're adding in that extra piece that a lot of times gets excluded in our schools and from our learning. But I'm horrible at math. But if you explain math to me through hex code, through color of how to make it online, I understand it then. So if we start implementing that in our schools, I think it would be, we would have a lot more people busting out into the arts. I really think it's important, period, regardless of art supplies. I think our teachers should not be paying for supplies at all, and that we should be having enough money in our budget to make it so that our teachers have all the tools that they need to do their jobs successfully. And part of that is fully funding the Student Opportunities Act. And part of that is doing the 2-year funding right now instead of skipping a year and prolonging it so that we meet the 7-year, funding priority that we set as a state. I think that, in terms of Boston Public Schools, we have an arts and culture program with the city, right? The arts and culture program could really interact with the Boston Public Schools more. And we have so many opportunities in the city to do public art, to create murals and paint like the boxes. And there's so many opportunities that we could be bringing our students into and bringing our classrooms outside or whatever to be a part of creating these pieces of art. So, hopefully there's arts education happening, but if there isn't, at least the city's providing opportunities for our students to be participating in artistic endeavors that are on display and in public, so that they can be, their work is seen and they're proud. And then on the higher end of arts education, like for our high school students, I think there needs to be more AP classes for arts, art history, music theory, something there. I didn't have any options in high school for AP arts, and I think that would help our students who want to pursue a career in the arts get there. But Becca, I hear you, and I am totally with you. And it's an arts issue, but it's really it's an education issue, and it's an issue with the budget.
One last thing, and then I'll leave you alone. I'm sorry, Kelly, to be.
You're not bothering me.
But you know how I am after a ginger ale. It's not just the supplies, Kel. It's the teachers, qualified teachers.
Mm-hmm.
There are teachers right now that are the homeroom teacher in an elementary school who get crayons and some watercolors and brushes, and for art class, just turn that over to the kids. And no one's coming in to really teach the educational aspect of the arts. Listen, Kelly, thank you very much, and good luck, and rock on, okay?
Thank you. It's good to see you.
My pleasure.
I just want to, I'm sorry, I'm glad, Glenn, you can watch it later, but I want to touch on that briefly. Like, why don't we have qualified, why aren't these qualified teachers, working in our Boston public schools? And I don't know for sure, I don't have the facts in front of me, but I would bet that it's because they can't afford to live in the city, and there's a requirement for that. And if we can't have our teachers who are working for the city to be able to afford to live in the city, then they're going to go elsewhere, and they're going to take their talents elsewhere and teach students somewhere else. So we have a lot of work to do in the city to get professionals and artists and arts teachers who want to stay and teach and work here that they can. Oh my gosh, it's 7:52. Okay, we have 8 minutes left. Does anyone have any closing arguments? Nothing?
Does anybody have an embarrassing story they want to tell about Kelly the candidate?
That's so rude, we're recording.
A embarrassing, funny, polite story that will be endearing to voters?
Well, I got something to say.
Oh.
Not embarrassing, but just a cool story. We did the JP World Fair. I mean, that was a great event, just like Kelly mentioned. But something that she did not mention was she put it all together with a group of her friends and colleagues, and it was a great event. And I gotta say that at the end, I saw her face; she was exhausted, but happy. Because she knew, I saw it on your face, Kelly. You knew that you did a great job, and everyone was happy. I saw the faces of the musicians, and everyone was having a good time. I got interviewed by Paloma Valenzuela about how this event, was brought up again after 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And fun fact, I played the last JP World Fair before they suspended the event.
It's so wild, and
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that you were a part of it. And we are, regardless of whatever my future holds, we will be having the World's Fair in 2022. So,
well, looking forward to it.
Ray, thank
It's a
you
great
for the
event.
kind words. Everyone, go check out Ray and his music, the Ray Liriano Experience. And do you have any shows coming up that we can check out?
We are. We have a few shows coming up. Nothing confirmed. So we have a private event in Roxbury, and hopefully a few shows coming up in JP. I'm working it out right now as we go, but we're working on since the pandemic hit. When we've been working on writing new material, trying to put out a full length album. So that's what we're working on right now.
That's so good to hear. For those of you who don't know, I was so excited to have a gathering of people at all, but I was like, we need to have music there. So at my announcement in April, Ray was the beautiful musician that was there providing us with some of the first live entertainment I had seen in over a year. So thank you for that. And I don't know, Molly, if you could like throw in Ray's, I know he's on his cell phone, if you could throw in the link to Ray's website so that people can check him out, that would be awesome. It's 7:55. Does anyone have anything else they would like to speak about right now, real quick? I do have to be at another meeting at 8:10. Okay. Well, I want to do one thing. Well, I want to do two things before we go. Three things. The list will keep growing. Let me just fix my screen here. So can y'all see the sign behind me? Films equals jobs. And it's,
Yes.
I wasn't thinking about that being backwards when I put it up there. Anyway, I was at a standout this morning, and it was in solidarity with the Massachusetts Production Coalition and Teamsters Boston, because our film industry in the state is union work. And I was there to advocate for the film and television production incentive. And this is directly from them. I'm just going to read it because I don't want to mess anything up. But Massachusetts is poised and ready to capture the growing streaming TV industry that will bring even more good paying jobs to Massachusetts for years to come. We are now attracting multi-year episodic television series, which is so cool, and employs more local workers, uses more local businesses, and are the engines of growth for our local film industry. These productions are making decisions now about where to film in the coming years, and uncertainty about the future of Massachusetts production incentive encourages them to film elsewhere. So this industry can help lead in a rapid economic recovery for Massachusetts, which I know we all know we need. But if the sunset of the film production incentive is eliminated, it's eliminated, it's not going to, help us out. So I'm going to drop in the chat a link for you if you feel so inclined to email or call your senator to advocate for this to remain. Give me 1 second. There's no way that I could be on, an artists roundtable tonight without talking about saving jobs for, union workers, but also artists and artists who are union workers. Let me just get the linky link real quick. I hope that you will participate in this advocacy. And if you are unsure of how to do so, please feel free to contact me. I'll say it out loud, but I know Molly will also put that in the chat. You can reach out to me at kelly@votekellyransom.com. You can also go to my Facebook and message me. Most of you have my cell phone number. You can text me. And I really hope that, oh, and thank you, Molly. I also want to put Ray's thing in there, Ray's amazing. Does anyone else, before we go, does anyone else have anything that they want to promote that's going on, that's coming up that we should know about? Corey?
Sorry, I don't have Ray's website. That's why I didn't put it in. But if you have it handy, just
that's his
throw it in there.
Facebook.
Got it.
Corey, do you want to talk about what you got going on coming up, or? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yay!
Okay, good. I have a show, an event that we started just before COVID started. It's called a Stars Born Talent Competition. where artists can come up on stage and perform whatever talent they have, so whether it's singing, whether it's dancing, whether it's comedy, whether it's a magician or whatever it is. You have the opportunity to come up and perform in front of an audience. You can perform as just an artist, or you can perform as a competitor. We have 6 rounds. Every round we pick a winner. At the end of those 6 rounds, we have the final rounds where they compete for $500. Yeah, so there's cash involved, a trophy, the opportunity to work with Vinnie Brown. Vinnie Brown is a talent scout for Michael Bivins and Ralph Tresvant. So it's not a guarantee that you're going to get a contract or anything like that, but it's an opportunity to work with someone that's been in the business and continues to be in the business and things like that. Second place, they get $250, a trophy, merchandise and things like that. And third place gets a trophy and merchandise and everything like that. But again, it's not just about the money and the trophies and everything like that, but it gives people an exposure. We're going to be using the Hat Shell down here at Hyde Park, right there by Stoppy. So it's going to be an outside event for people that are still a little bit COVID wary and things like that. And no one has to pay to participate. We just charge for admission to come in to watch. The winner's picked by the audience. It's Apollo style. So at the end of the night, you know, put your hand above every performer's head. The audience picks the winner, and that person goes on to the final round. But I'll send out that information to everyone.
Yeah, if you could throw in the chat how people can get involved, and I'll definitely be sharing that on Facebook. Does anyone else have anything real quick they want to promote? If you don't, that's okay. Send it to me. I'll put it on my social media, no problem. I am so grateful for all of you here tonight, for coming, for taking time to talk about art and culture and the future of arts and culture in Boston. And none of this would have been possible tonight without Mrs. Janice Williams. So thank you so much. Janice is an amazing artist, an incredible event planner. She like hides that fact. She's really good at planning events. She's part of the Rosendale Arts Alliance, Rosendale Porch Fest. What else? She has It's All About Arts magazine. If you follow her on her social media, which is Janice Williams, I don't know the name, but she posts beautiful art every day and it brightens my day. I love the tree a day. I look forward to it. So thank you so much, Janice, for having me. And I'm just gonna go down. Thank you, Molly, for helping while I was getting ready, and Corey, and of course, Christopher, always thank you. Oh, Dave, I didn't even know you were here. Dave, thank you for coming. Julio and Lila and Melissa and Ray and Becca and Isla, of course. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Stay tuned for the announcement of all the other roundtables and halls of progress coming up tomorrow. So thank you. I have to run to my next meeting, so I'm going to end this, but I love you all so much. You mean the world to me. Good night.
Good night.